What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk a bit more about Jogress evolution. You see, there was a video that went up over in Japan yesterday where they did clarify a bunch of stuff about this new kind of evolution, and quite frankly, this is pretty important stuff that we need to know. It also does potentially make it way better. There's some downsides, we'll get to them in a second, but it does potentially make it way better, and that is absolutely wonderful. So, to start off then, Jogress evolution, we've not seen much of it. We know it is really coming around in those new starter decks, which are going to be launching in Japan in the not too distant future, and essentially we've seen a couple of Digimon that actually use it. So over in Starter Deck 9, that is the blue-green starter deck, we've seen Digimon. And over in Starter Deck 10, which is the purple and yellow starter deck, we've seen Mastermon. Awesome. And essentially what you do is you take two Digimon that you've got on the field, and you mash them together into one. So for Mastermon, you would need both a yellow level 5 and a purple level 5 on the field. You will then combine them together and play Mastermon on top. Incidentally, you do have to pay the Jogress evolution cost, but the good news is that Mastermon is 0. Similarly with Digimon, you need to take a blue level 4 and a green level 4, because it's a blue-green level 5, and then you mash them together, pay the cost which happens to be 0, and then you've got Jogress evolution. Although DigimonCard.dev, and those dudes are awesome, are translating it as DNA Digivolution, which I think does sound quite sensible as well. As with all of these key terms, we will have to wait until we actually get it in English to know for certain. But the point is, it's coming, and it looks kind of fun. Now, as a side note, this has not been announced, but I do think it's pretty sensible. Mastermon evolves for nothing, and Digimon evolves for nothing. But in both instances, the card designers have taken the time to specifically mention a cost of 0. If it was always going to be free, and inarguably going to be free, then it wouldn't be an issue. It would be the rule that Jogress evolution was free. So the fact that they have gone to the effort of putting cost of 0 means that it might not always be free, and that's an important distinction. It doesn't mean it will not always be free. There is every possibility that they never raise the cost, and that it always ends up being 0 to evolve. But by writing the cost on, they open up the opportunity to increase the cost in the future, which honestly is something they will probably end up doing, and that is pretty gosh darned important. So what were the rulings we got then in the past couple of days? Well, if you would perform Jogress, what order do the cards go in? And the order is, if you've got a blue and a green, so to go back to Digimon as an example, it says blue plus green, then what happens is the card on the left, blue, will go on top, while the card on the right, green, would go below. And you could say at this point, well, hang on a second, Wassy, does that even matter? What is irrelevant? Yeah, it's actually really important, because Digivolve is a thing. So let's take something like Machine Dramon. When you play it, you choose 2 of your opponent's Digimon, and for each of them, you Digivolve 2. That means that you are going to get rid of the Pale Dramon and the green, but leave the blue behind. So a lot of the time, no, it's not really going to make much difference. Hopefully both the Digimon you have mashed together are going to have fun inheritable skills, and you're going to be able to get the use out of them, and life is going to be good. But for things like Digivolve, it is actually really important to figure out which of those Digimon go on top. If you had a choice, that could be huge. Because if there's a deck that you're fairly sure is playing Digivolve 2, that lets you put the one on first that you want to stay. Whereas if they're playing Digivolve 1, you would put the one you want to stay on second, so when the level 5 goes away, the top level 4 is left. It's a weird thing, but it's actually sneaky super important, and now we know. What about cards like Win Rate 60%? That is a card which, weirdly enough, we actually know is going to be coming as an alternate art card in the evolution box. The Tamer's Evolution Box 2 has been confirmed to be including an English version of this card. Remember, it's alternate art, but the Japanese version comes with the Japanese cards, and the English version comes with the English cards, which of course is different from Tamer's Evolution Box 1, where the English box actually came with both versions, the English and the Japanese. It was never going to last, but it was fun while we had it. So win rate 60%, and I'm afraid we've got to use the fairly rubbish English scan of the alternate art, because we don't have an English of the regular one here. But essentially, the next time one of your Digimon digivolves this term, you trash one Digimon with the same colour as the digivolving Digimon from your hand to reduce the memory cost of that Digimon by 4. Okay, so if I'm using this on a dual colour Digimon, which do I actually go ahead and discard? The answer is either. You're fine. Either blue or green will do. Not a problem. Which is quite nice. Now, the big news here is that Jogress Evolution will reset essentially everything. Now, we already knew that it lets you attack again. And that is a really big deal. So, if you've got Angel Woman and Lady Devamon, and you Digivolve into Mastermon, essentially, that resets and lets you attack again. So you can attack with Angel Woman, and then you can attack with Lady Devamon, and then you can Jogress evolve them into Mastermon and attack again. Remember, you can only attack with a Digimon once per turn. It suspends them. And when you Digivolve, generally, it doesn't reset that, it doesn't unsuspend, etc. So your choice is essentially that you can either attack with the Digimon pre-Digivolution, or you can attack with it post-Digivolution, but not both. The good news is that is all completely reset when you got Jogress Evolution. But we've known that for a while, that's not new. Although they did mention that in here, it works like Rush, but without the Rush text. So something like Bushy Agumon would be a nice little example of Rush here. It's very much along those lines. It very literally breaks the rules, which is rather lovely. But again, this isn't really new information. It's just explanation of something we already knew. What is very new, however, is that buffs and debuffs will be negated. So let's say, for argument's sake, you get something like the aforementioned example, where we end up with Mastermon. If I had Security Attack +1, that goes away. If I had Security Attack -1, that also goes away. Now, we've got to be really clear what we're talking about here, okay? That is extremely important. So if I've got Security Attack +1, but I've got it from an inheritable skill, that's fine. So let's say one of my level 5 series Rise Greymon, as an example. That gives me Security Attack +1 if I've got 3 or more yellow tamers. When I Jogress Evolve, that is going to become a skill that is an inheritable skill on my Mastermon, so I don't lose that, that gets kept and life is good. But if I've got a card which has granted me Security Attack +1 for the turn, then that would absolutely go away. So take something like the promo Granku Wagamon, which is a card I am honestly rather fond of. That one says you can Digiburst 2, and then one of your Digimon gains Security Attack +1 for the turn. Now, it would be a big mistake in terms of sequencing, but just as an example, if I do that to one of my Digimon, and then I Jogress Evolve, I lose Security Attack +1. And to be fair, it might not actually be a mistake in sequencing, because I could give the Security Attack +1 to my level 5, attack with it, and then Jogress Evolve, and in that situation, I would still get the benefit of it, but I wouldn't get the benefit of it twice. And incidentally, you've got to think that is the reason why this rule has come around, to stop you stacking these up. It's already kind of nuts that I can attack with my level 5s and then Digivolve and attack with my level 6. Being able to do that and keep security attack +1 would be a little bit nutty. Although, like I've said, if you've got it as an inheritable skill, you would absolutely get to keep it, and that is rather lovely indeed. And although it's kind of rubbish you don't get to keep a temporary security attack +1, you also don't get to keep things like security attack -1, and that's actually a really big deal. That can be absolutely wonderful. So take something like Renamon. When you play it, you give one of your opponent's Digimon security attack -1 until the end of your opponent's next turn. Well, if they give it to one of the level 5s and then you Jogress evolve into a Mastermon, sure, you've got the security attack -1 on the level 5, but when you Jogress evolve into the level 6, you lose that, and that is absolutely a skill you definitely want to lose. But then along the same lines, once per turn effects will also be reset. And the example they gave in the video is a phenomenal example, so I'm just going to steal that one. The Uppermon from BT1. The Uppermon from BT1 says, when attacking once per turn, if your opponent has any Digimon in play with no Digivolution cards, you get to draw a card. So if you've got this under a level 5, you can attack with a level 5, you draw a card. And generally speaking, at that point, Uppermon would go, right, mate, you've had your extra, you've got your draw, that's lovely, wait till next turn. But because Jogress Evolution resets this stuff, if you then attack with the level 6 that you've Jogress evolved from that level 5, you would then get to draw a second card with Uppermon. And this is a really big deal. This is a huge deal. Because what this means is, when I'm building a Jogress Evolution deck, I can basically build it with a view to be reusing stuff like Uppermon, to be getting extra uses of those kind of skills, and is going to give me rather huge advantages indeed. Also, as a side note now, we've got that general rule, which is essentially all of these effects get reset when you Jogress evolve, which is going to help us for rulings in the future. Shout out to Entan Gaming for providing our translation. I can't remember if I said that at the beginning, but I've gone and said it now. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the rule. Life is good. But now I want to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.